Okay, reconnect. Okay, here we go. We are live in the Merge Media Facebook page. We're live in the Business Owner Mastermind Facebook group. And we are live today with Ashley Brockelbank from Perth County Tourism. Another exciting guest for the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about marketing in rural communities for small businesses. It's something a lot of us might not be familiar with or know how to do it or think it's important. But we're going to break into it today with Ashley. But for now, I'm going to pass the conch over to my partner, David Louch, who's going to introduce today's podcast guest. Go ahead, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Merge Marketing Podcast. My name is David, co-host and producer, along with my partner, Jason Hunt. Today, we're pleased to welcome Ashley Brockelbank to the show. Ashley is the tourism officer for Perth County, which is a small county in southwestern Ontario, Canada. Ashley has been working in economic development and tourism since 2018. After graduating with an honors degree in media information and culture from Western University. She is passionate about creative marketing and loves devising new and unique ways to promote her rural region. In her first few years in the industry, Ashley has helped manage several innovative, award-winning campaigns and initiatives in her role with Perth County. When she isn't crafting clever social media posts or out on the road meeting with business owners, you can find Ashley exploring the local food scene, in the stands at a hockey arena, or enjoying time with friends and family in her charming hometown of Listowel. Ashley, welcome to our show today.
Thanks so much for having me on today, guys.
Yeah, we really, really appreciate it. And I know for me, this is a super exciting episode. Being from a small town myself, shout out to Parry Sound, as well as having grown up in a family business. So I'm really looking forward to learning from you, your insights, and how operating and promoting a small business differs from maybe doing so in a larger area. So So before we get started, we typically just like to have the guests share a little bit about themselves and how they got started and a little bit about who they are outside of work.
Sure, absolutely. So I am born and raised in Listowel, which is where I currently live now. I moved away to the city when I was done high school to attend university. And from there, I started out actually as a summer student with Perth County in the tourism division. And then I fell in love with the position, obviously, with tourism in the area. And after graduating from school, I moved back home to my hometown and started working full-time in tourism for the county. So yeah, really excited to have these conversations on marketing rural Ontario. And I love helping to promote small town living, small town exploring, and small town businesses.
That's amazing. Yeah. I am, it's super cool that you went to the big city, went to university, and we're still able to find a way to go back to your small town and make a living for yourself there. Because I know for me, it wasn't even really an option. I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't really think there was a whole lot of opportunity for me back in Parry Sound when I left and after finished university. So I'm super envious of that because as much as I love where I am today, part of me still misses living in a small town.
Yeah, totally. I don't think it's until, as a young person, until you move away from the small town into the city, you really realize just how special small town living is. Moving to rural Ontario, this is a message that we're always promoting at Perth County and trying to drive home with our youth is how desirable it can be for young people, especially, to move into rural areas in Ontario. As youth, we're often told growing up that in order to be successful, we need to leave our small town. We need to head to the city if we want those big, high-paying jobs or high-profile jobs. And really, this couldn't be further from the truth. Whatever your interest is, the odds are there's something that will fit you in a small town. In Perth County, for example, in 2019, over 91% of employers said they're planning to hire. So things like this, youth might not think when they're on that first career search to look at the small towns. They might be looking at those bigger name areas around the province, around the country, but it's definitely something people should consider because small towns are just full of opportunity.
And so what might be some of the pros and cons of starting a business in a small town?
For sure. So the number one pro the most obvious pro that comes to mind for me is that loyal customer base. So in a small town, customers are loyal to those shops, restaurants, cafes, and more. You hear so many quotes along the lines of, when you support a small business, you're supporting a dream. And this sentiment really rings true for businesses in rural areas like Perth County. In a small rural area, business owners and employees really get the chance to get to know their customers and vice versa. And these relationships are often what helps lead to major success as people get more excited, I find, to support people, families, stories behind the business than they might just to support one favorite product or their favorite brand.
When you're, sorry, yeah, Ashley, I was going to say, when you're talking to small businesses, like in counties like Perth, right, where it's just small town, everybody knows the small business. What kind of emphasis is there on marketing those small businesses? Because a lot of them are just like, hey, if these people know me, I don't need to really market myself at all because everybody knows each other in this small town.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can especially see that if there's something new that's opening up. People will know you and know your business before you're even here in small towns, without any promotion at all. A lot of times people in small rural areas are just excited and curious when a new business is coming. A great example, in my small town Listowel, empty storefront on our main downtown one day had newspaper coverings covering the windows, and everyone in town notices things like this. So then already there's a buzz created. People want to know, oh, like what's going in the new store. So a few weeks later, when the newspaper came down, the sign went up and there's a new Mexican themed restaurant opened up in my town. Everyone's already keen to go visit, to see the big reveal, to try their products, because people just get so excited about new additions. So when you're first starting off, people are excited to have you here. And then from there, the value of word of mouth marketing in small towns just skyrockets.
I can attest to that. I mean, it's amazing. I was just thinking of kind of an analogy is when you're in a big city and a store leaves a certain area or a certain building, it's almost very, very difficult to notice. Like if you're local to that area, you might notice, but you know, most likely probably not. Whereas in a small town, as soon as a business leaves or a store is empty, you're right. Like it is very, very noticeable. So everybody's going to be curious. And it's almost like, you're like you said, you're getting your own marketing and awareness as to what might be going in there, and then people will obviously check it out once it's there to see what it's all about. So that's interesting. Yeah,
absolutely.
So what's your goal, Ashley? Like essentially, I mean, let's talk specifically to Perth County for a second. You know, you're roughly 2 hours from downtown Toronto, right?
Yeah, about
that. So about 2 hours from downtown Toronto. Now, a big pull for you is to be like, hey, you want to get people from downtown Toronto over to Perth County to spend the day and spend their money in local shops and in the community, right? That's kind of the goal of the campaign. Yeah. Okay, so what, in your opinion, because you're the expert, you're the marketing expert working in small town Perth, how do you lure those people over from Toronto or entice them to come over to Perth County?
So it definitely changes with the times. Obviously, right now, it's almost easier than ever to entice people to visit rural areas because people are they're searching for those wide open spaces. One of the number one travel trends right now is the ability to control your space. So people want to go to a place where they know what to expect. They can kind of gauge the amount of people that will be there. They can gauge what their experience will be like. And in rural areas, that's something that we have to offer all the time. So where someone might have previously went to, I don't know, Wonderland or something like that, they would maybe instead give Perth County a chance and grab our Farmgate map and go visit some local food stands and pet some goats and alpacas, things like that. So yeah, our pull is kind of our small town charm is how we get people here, because people from the city may not have ever experienced something like that. If that's where you were born and raised, they may only see it on TV. And often they don't realize that we are only a 2-hour drive. You can come and spend the day here and head right back after. They don't realize just how close that scenic, idyllic, rural experience is to home.
How do you get some of those local businesses on board with your objectives? With you wanting to get these travelers coming from Toronto, how do you lean on those local businesses for support in that?
So really, we try not to lean on our businesses for support, but the other way around. We want to be there for them to lean on us for support. So we all have the same goal, and that's for our region to thrive, our businesses to be successful, people to see our amenities and want to come experience what we have to offer. So we work very closely with all of our tourism businesses, creatively and collaboratively, especially so lately. An example of this is a program we launched a few weeks ago. It is called the Traveling Deal Wheel. So it's a game show style spinning wheel that traveled around Perth County for 10 days, being hosted at a different business each day. So customers of that host business could spin the wheel, and they would then win a gift card to go to another business or an overnight stay or something along those lines. So a promotion like this encourages residents as well as visitors to shop, dine, and explore at the host business each day in order to win a spin. And from there, it would send the customer on to discover a new business that they may have never heard of or been to before. So this specific promotion involved a lot of collaboration amongst the businesses involved, because it may not be typical to say, be at the diner where you have your breakfast and have them give you a gift certificate to a brewery a few towns over. So that's where the beauty of the small town relationships and collaboration really shines through, because all of our businesses are helping promote other businesses in the area, and the same is being done for them.
I love it. I think that the collaboration piece is huge, and leveraging social media as a play to collaborate as well, I think is important, because if you have two different shops, it could be a butcher and it could be a restaurant, right side by side next door. Why not leverage social media and piggyback on some sort of a contest or initiative, or tag them in a post, and you can get additional eyeballs on your content there as well, right?
Certainly. Yeah, definitely. And that's another part of the benefit of having a business in these rural areas is the person next door to you. I'm not too sure how it would be in the city, but they're not a stranger. So when I walk in to have a meeting with our business owners, I'm calling them by their first names, and they say, "Hey, Ashley," and they know the family who runs the business next to them. So all those just little bit stronger relationships allow us to work together so much more collaboratively and help each other out, especially in times like now.
Yeah. And that's interesting, because obviously, we have a digital marketing agency, and I'm a big proponent of digital marketing and social media. But what I will say is if it could go the opposite way, and you could go back to maybe some more traditional style marketing tactics, a small town is really where it's going to work. Like you said, the spin the wheel sort of event, where you actually physically go to a store and spin and engage and get some sort of discount. Would work really, really well. Whereas maybe in larger areas, you have to rely more on something like social media to do that sort of stuff, because you're not going to get as much engagement, perhaps because people just don't care, because they don't have those personal relationships with the store owners or the shop owners. But on that point, I mean, obviously, I think that social media and digital marketing would still go a long way for some of these rural businesses. But do you find that rural business owners tend to adapt a little bit slower to technology or perhaps digital marketing than maybe others in larger areas? And if so,
Um,
what have you seen during COVID? Like, have you seen a big rush for most of the small businesses to create websites, update websites, maybe get social media for the first time?
No, I wouldn't say that they're slower. They might handle things a little bit differently online than businesses in the city would, but all of our businesses have been awesome digital marketing champions throughout COVID. We've just been having to think outside of the box a little bit. So during the earlier stages of COVID-19, when it was more quarantine, everyone was being encouraged to stay home, to not go out and visit your favorite businesses. We worked collaboratively with our business community on a campaign we called How To From Home. So business owners would send us a video for us to promote, where they would teach the audience how to make, create, mix, etc. items that the customer would have otherwise typically gone into the business and purchased, learned, etc. So this a home decor shop that is infamous in our area. Everyone, you go in there and you're just mesmerized by how beautiful everything is. They submitted a video to us on how to expertly decorate floating shelves. So from this, customers can order shelves, decor items, etc. from the business for curbside pickup and decorate shelves themselves at home with their new interior design knowledge they gained from the video. An on-farm cheese facility. So these are farmers, cheesemakers. They sent us a video they made in their home, explaining how viewers can make delicious fondue at home. So someone sitting at home can go on our Facebook, watch this video that the cheese facility submitted, learn how to make fondue at home, order the cheese from the business, and have a fondue night at home. So we've been really impressed with everyone's response to kind of needing to move to digital during times, especially in 2020. And yeah, we've just been getting creative with it. I don't think when 2020 started, any of these business owners would have thought that they would be creating production sites in their businesses or in their house to send me videos to post on Facebook. But yeah, everyone's been doing an excellent job and pivoting when they need to.
Oh, sorry, Jay, your pause there. There you go.
Let's talk about COVID for a quick second here. And, obviously one of the challenges for you, Ashley, would be, getting the locals on board with the fact that you do need to get those people from the city coming out there and spending their dollars in Perth County, right? So how have you navigated those waters with the local people that might be pushing back?
So everything we do in Perth County Tourism since COVID started has been a delicate balance of inviting visitors and promoting our areas to people who don't live here, as well as balancing that resident sentiment that maybe they don't want a ton of people coming to visit who don't live here. But like we discussed earlier, everyone wants to support these businesses and they really do care about the families and stories behind them. So people get, obviously we're not going to be tone deaf during this time and be spreading messages that don't align with the provincial message and what we're hearing from our medical health officers. But people do understand that our businesses need people purchasing their items and eating there, ordering their beers, ordering their clothing in order to survive. And everyone's kind of on the same boat that we all want the region to thrive.
Everyone needs their beer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have any craft breweries in the area that might be awesome?
Yeah, the Shakespeare Brewing Company is a microbrewery in Shakespeare, and it has an awesome patio outside that they grow hops all around the patio. So as you're sitting there drinking your beer, you get the aromas of all the hops, and it just makes your experience that much better. Shakespeare is just one of our many awesome small towns that you can just park anywhere. You can park at the brewery and spend a day walking around to all the different businesses, just like biking around, walking around. You don't have to drive far to have many experiences.
Interesting. So I just want to shift gears for a second, because we've kind of brought up more people from the city coming to Perth County and these small rural areas. And we've talked a little bit about COVID, which we're still going through several months later. And what I'm starting to hear now, and it really does make a whole lot of sense, is people are waking up a little bit because COVID has basically confined them to their home. So for somebody that lives in a big city, maybe in a condo, they're now realizing, I don't want to be trapped in this little tiny condo in this big city if we're going to go through global pandemics. And from what I'm hearing is a lot of people are now starting to move to smaller areas, especially because work from home is going to probably become the new normal moving forward forever, probably. So, for somebody that's thinking about moving to a small rural area and starting a business, either a local shop or for us running a digital marketing agency, we can work absolutely anywhere. What are some things that individual might want to consider before doing so?
Sure. So from the business side, there can be lots of benefits personally for anyone who wanted to make the move to somewhere smaller. Being in a rural area, there's less competition within a company as well as externally. You're more likely to be promoted faster than you would at a company that might be located in an urban center. Building a book of business and a loyal clientele can also be easier in a rural area like Perth County. On the larger scale, our businesses who are here do enjoy a balance of being technologically advanced and globally connected while maintaining those local roots. So small towns offer affordable development charges and land rates, modern infrastructure, and a skilled, dedicated workforce. So in rural areas such as Perth County, like I said earlier, people might think, oh, there's nothing for me in a small town. But our entrepreneurial business environment is progressive and it's diverse. So you might hear things like manufacturing, agriculture, construction, food processing, and think, oh, I have a marketing degree. There's nothing there that would suit me. But that's really far from the truth. Within these companies, there's so many different positions and they need people of all different skills and all different backgrounds. On the more personal side of making that move out of the urban center into a rural area in Perth County, a rural area like Perth County can offer all the benefits of a small town lifestyle without really sacrificing many of those amenities that you would find in the city. So in a place like Perth County, we have first-class recreational facilities, championship golf courses, Food Network featured restaurants, festivals, community events. So the stereotype might be that it's just like a slower pace of life. Like I like the fast paced city, but there's really something for everyone when you do make that move to a small town.
I actually just made a move. I'm moving this week to a small town. I'm going to Fergus, and which is big for me. I've always been I grew up in Brampton. I've spent some time living in Toronto and now Guelph, and now I'm going to Fergus. And what I do like about it is the fact that everything, and I mean everything, is within a 2-kilometer radius, from the sports center, to the Walmart, to the brew hub, the brew house. Everything is within that 2-kilometer proximity. You can actually walk a 20-minute walk anywhere you need to go to, which is something I've never really done before. But one thing I did, I had a chat the other day with a guy that's living in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and you're so fortunate to be in a small town like that where it's not very difficult to social distance. Yeah. Like you're talking Amsterdam, where it's like building, like a 300-year-old building, a small little path the width of a sidewalk, and then a river. And you're constantly passing people because it's so dense, and you're constantly breathing through other people's breath. You know what I mean? You're constantly exchanging droplets. You know what I mean? You can't really get away from it. But I think that's one of the fortunate things, and why you're going to start seeing a lot more people amalgamate to those rural communities is because of that, because of what's happening in life right now and where life is going. And I mean, heck, I'm doing it myself.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
You don't have to convince me. I wish I could go back to a rural area tomorrow, but it's my partner that I am still working on. So we'll see how I do there. But yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, Ashley, we really want to thank you for coming on the show today. Jay, I don't know if you had any last minute questions or you wanted to wrap things up.
Yeah, Ashley, if anybody out there in our listener audience wants to get in touch with you or has any questions, what's the best way to do that?
Sure. So to get in touch with me on social media, you can follow along with our Perth County Tourism page. It's at Perth Co Tourism. Or if you're interested in that more economic development side, I'd invite you to follow us on social media at Perth County. You can find all the resources and kind of find out more about the things that I talked about today at our website, perthcounty.ca, or you can get in touch with me personally at tourism@perthcounty.ca.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Ashley, for coming on and sharing your insights about promoting small businesses in rural areas and the differences and maybe similarities that exist. And we end our show with the same question every single week. And that is, if you could choose one person, dead or alive, to represent, in this case, Perth County, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh.
Brand ambassador for Perth County.
Oh my gosh. Old MacDonald, like with the farm.
Old MacDonald.
Cuteness.
Yeah.
When we went on, we do an annual familiarization tour in the tourism group. And last year, one of our destinations, it's called McCully's Hill Farm. It's this quaint, charming little farm on the south end of our county. The barns are still like the horses tied up in the stable, and you can pet the goats outside, and his grandma's making jam in the store. And someone said, this is old MacDonald's farm. And that's what came to my mind when you asked me that.
Wow. We've had some crazy answers, but that might be on the brink of craziness.
Yeah, that is, you know what though? It's already got a theme song. So that's
pretty good branding.
That's pretty good branding. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Thank you again, Ashley. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to chatting with you again.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Awesome. There we go. Ashley Brockelbank from Perth County Tourism. Yeah, I think right now it's such a kind of a good business to be in. And I mean, tourism, you say, is a terrible business to be in, but right now for local tourism, like that is a great place to travel to if you're in the city and just need to get out. If you're living in your 500 square foot condo in Toronto and want to get away, why not take a road trip 2 hours away from the city and enjoy a beautiful county like Perth?
100%. And really, like, that is all you can do. We can't go on vacation anymore to the US or to tropical islands or anything like that. We need to find places within our own provinces or countries to travel and take vacation. So, we're already starting to see a boom in visitors going to these rural areas and spending time at resorts and Airbnbs and taking in the sights. And I think it's definitely going to continue within the next year, which is good.
And I mean, the government, I don't know how it's working other places in the world, but at least locally, the Ontario government is incentivizing, tourism boards by giving them grants to promote themselves, to market themselves, to entice people to still go out there and travel and not just live in their little 1 kilometer proximities.
Absolutely. So
other areas of the world, it's quite different. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in Tel Aviv, you actually are not allowed to leave outside of 1 kilometer of your house. So
really,
yeah. So that's
wow.
Yeah. So correct me. It might be Tel Aviv. Yeah. I might be mistaken with that, but there's places in the world where you're not actually allowed to leave that bubble, which is quite crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Well, just I guess be fortunate where we are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching on Facebook. Thank you for listening on the podcast. And if you haven't yet done it yet, go ahead, give us a 5-star review and subscribe so you never miss an episode, okay? Anything else, David? You good?
That's it. Thank you.
See you next week.
See you next week.